So I decided to continue our vocabulary review onto the next section, and I'm gonna go back and refresh myself on the words that I struggled with remembering. So the first one was near or next to. So near or next to in Russian is рядом. So I'm going to remember that. Someone next to me is named Ria. Okay, so she is next to me. рядом. рядом. In Chinese, it would be 旁边 or 靠近, 靠. Okay, or 近 next, near. Okay. The second word that I struggled with that I couldn't remember when I was reviewing the vocabulary was excuse me. So it's not извините in my vocabulary list. It says простите, which is P-R-O-S-T-E-T-E, простите. So простите, that means excuse me. I don't know if you need to say excuse me, like add a minute or something in there. But it just says простите. So простите, And in Chinese, excuse me would be 对不起, or you might say 不好意思,对不起. Okay. And what else? So the third word is no problem. So if someone says sorry and you say no problem, or if someone says thank you and you say no problem, so no problem would be ничего страшного. Ничего, which is nothing, nada. Ничего, ничего. So n or n, и, ч, е, g, o. So I notice the G sound, the g becomes a v sound a lot of the time when you have the y, v, y, g, o together, yevo, instead of yego. So if it's at the beginning of the word, you might use the G sound, but it becomes more like a V. So ничего. So no problem. Ничего страшного. Страшного. I remember that because it looks sort of like straw. So it's se, te, ar, a, and then sh. That sh looks sort of like a W. So straw. And then no go. Nova. So that again, that G is like a V sound here. Страшного. So no problem. So спасибо. Do you say ничего страшного after someone says спасибо? I don't know. So in English we do that sometimes. So if someone says thanks and you say no problem, or I don't know if maybe in Russian they only use it for after someone says sorry. So извините, and then you say ничего страшного. Okay, so ничего страшного. And in Chinese, for no problem, you say 没事. Okay, 没事. So there's no issue here. Okay, no problem. You say, if someone bumps into you and you say 对不起, and then the other person might say 没事. So there's no issue here. Okay, so that was the third one, and the fourth one that I got wrong when I was reviewing is it's okay. So it's okay is всё, which is like all. Всё в. Всё в. Всё в порядке, I think. Yes. Порядке. Okay. So всё, which means everything. В is in. So all or over, in. Всё. So всё I think also means like the end or something like that. Всё. Всё в порядке. Pa I think means like one time. Порядке, no idea. So how can I remember that? So R, so P, P, O, R, ya. порядке. Not sure how to remember it. So maybe like p, so like one time, and then rad. So like that's cool. Rad. So maybe I can think like, oh, that's okay. Everything's rad. So if someone says извините, you say ничего страшного. Всё в порядке. Okay. So that's how I'm gonna remember it. Everything's rad. So всё в порядке. Всё в порядке. Всё в порядке. Всё в порядке. Okay. 没问题。没事。没什么事。Okay. 没什么事。So there is nothing wrong. Okay. So everything's okay. There's nothing wrong. 没事。没什么事。所有都 In Chinese, we also use English, so some people might say 所有都 OK. 没事都 OK 啦。Alright, so it's okay. So again, near, next to, рядом. 靠近旁边 Excuse me, извините. No, that's sorry, извините. Excuse me, we're using рядом. No, we're using порядке. Порядке. Простите. Oh gosh, I'm not remembering things very well. So простите. So простите, we can remember that by thinking. So pro is P-R-O, so it looks like pro. So when you're saying excuse me, maybe you're talking to a pro, you're like, I want to take a picture of you, or I want your autograph. So простите. Pro. So maybe there's more than one pro. So you pros, and then T. Can we have some tea? Okay. So we're gonna remember that by professionals and having tea. Okay. So excuse me, простите. Простите. So простите. Okay. So again, near, next to, рядом. Excuse me, простите. No problem. Ничего страшного. It's okay. Всё в порядке. Okay, I think I got it. All right, now we're going to move on to, after our review, now we're going to move on to our next unit of words, which is professions. So I got a bunch of professions from my lesson. The first one is actor. In Russian, it is артист. So an actor, I guess, is an artist, right? So артист with accent on the E, артист. And in Chinese, it would be 演员. Yan means to act, and yuan is like a professional person or something or other. So 演员. So the second is doctor, which is врач. 医生. So anything to do with medical is 医, and then 生 is like a professional once again. So 医生. All right, journalist. In Russian, журналист. Journalist, accent on the E, journalist. 记者. G is to record. 者 is a person, professional. 记者. Okay. Fourth, engineer. This is easy in Russian, similar, but we say инженер. Engineer. Emphasis on the last yeah. Engineer. Okay, there we go. Engineer. Engineer. Accent at the end. Engineer. 工程师. 工程 is engineering. 师 is a professional. 工程师. And fifth, composer. In Russian is compositor. Accent on the E. Compositor. Okay. A lot of these are accent on the E. Okay. Compositor. Or in Chinese, maybe it's 音乐作者. Maybe. I think 作者 is composer or writer. 作者 compositor. Okay. All right. 6, we've got musician. Muzykant. Emphasis on the A. Muzykant. Chinese, maybe you would say 音乐者. 音乐 is music. 者 is a professional or a person. 音乐者, I'm guessing. I don't really know. Or 音乐士, like a master in music. 音乐士, 音乐者. If you were, for example, a pianist, piano is 钢琴, so you would call a pianist 钢琴师. So maybe 士, 音乐士. Guessing. All right. Now, next we have professor. In Russian we have преподаватель. Prepodavatel. I think the emphasis is on the A. Prepodavatel. I think. Prepodavatel. I don't have the accent written here, so I'm not sure. Prepodavatel. Prepodavat is to teach, and prepodavatel is professor. And then in Chinese, we have 教授. So 教 is to teach, 授 professional, maybe. So 教授. Okay, and then next we have teacher. So if it's not just in university, you're teaching younger children, you can say учитель. Учитель. Once again, the E is accented. There seems to be a trend. They like to emphasize that E. учитель. In Chinese, we would say 老师. 老师. Alright? 老 means old. And then 师 is like a professional. Not sure why a teacher is called 老师. Okay. Translator. A translator. In Russian, переводник. Переводчик. Переводчик. Emphasis on the O. Переводчик. Not on the cheek, but on the O. Переводчик. Alright. Переводчик is translator. In Chinese, that would be 翻译者. 翻译 means to translate. 翻译者. Once again, I'm guessing. I am not an expert in any of these languages except for English. Alright, next is businessman. Russian. Businessmen. Emphasis on the last year. Businessmen. In Chinese, we would say 上务者. 上务者. Okay, next we have manager. 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 经理 Alright, 经理 And then we have lawyer. Here it says jurist. Jurist. However, personally, I've heard it as advocate. My husband is an advocate. Mój mąż advocate. Here it uses jurist. Mój mąż jurist. Okay. I don't know this word. It's new to me. Jurist. And Mandarin we would say 律师. 我的老公是律师. My husband is a lawyer. Next is housewife. Housewife. In Russian, домохозяйка. Домохозяйка. I'm changing all the O's to A sounds. If it's correct that O's only sound like O's if the accent is there. So it's spelled dom o h o z y g. So I'm going to do that instead of domo. I think it's домохозяйка. So housewife, домохозяйка, because dom means home. And then the rest I have no idea. Хозяйка. Домохозяйка. Alright. Chinese, I'm not too sure what you would say. Maybe you would say 全职太太. 全职太太. 全职 means full time. So 全职太太. 太太 is wife. 全职太太 or 全职妈妈, full-time mom. So something like that. That's my guess. 全职太太, 全职妈妈. Housewife, домохозяйка. Okay, and then lastly is guide. I'm not sure what a guide is. If it's like a tour guide. Here the translation says экскурсовод. Exkursovod. So accent on the last O. Exkursovod. I'm going to assume it comes from the word like excursion. Excursion? I don't know. Excurs. So excursion. So I'm going to assume it's sort of like a tour guide. So we're going to say 导游. Экскурсовод, guide, 导游. So those are our professions. And that's it for this time. We'll review next time. Thanks for joining.